just low connection, but here we go. Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday, May 22nd. Let us know you can hear us or see us. I'm with Joe Lopez today. We've got Up Live going. We've got YouTube Live going. But that looks so good because it's from a distance and you can't see all my wrinkles or the shininess on my head. So I'm kind of liking that too. Please, go ahead and share. No, it's good. So Joe Lopez, I think I can see Tyler. Hey, let me know you can hear us or see us. Joe, of course, is on. Caitlin, you can hear us or see us. So, gotta love Caitlin. She's the best. I don't even like to call her intern because she's so much more part of the family. So welcome, my friend. You have a whirlwind of things that you are working on and doing because you're running for office. So tell them what you are running for.
Ted, thank you for the invite.
Of course.
I like to appreciate the ambiance here.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah, look, I can see all.
You're relaxed.
Yeah, Orange County.
Take a deep breath
Nice.
for a minute.
Good view. I'm running for Orange County Sheriff. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm here.
Orange County Sheriff. All right, so one thing I told Joe is that we'll get to that part, but we want to know more about Joe Lopez. So he wasn't born and then all of a sudden wanted to be Orange County Sheriff. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you did from the time you were born. Now, if you cannot tell me, let's try to get to first grade by at least 20 minutes in. So if you can give us a little history on you and your background, and then let's get to your why. Why did you start getting involved in politics, and why did you become a sheriff? Why did you become an officer?
Well, 40 years is what I've been serving the community for.
40 years.
40 years. I started out as an altar boy in the Bronx.
You're a Bronx boy.
Yeah, I'm a Bronx boy. Yeah.
Do you still have family up there?
No, I had to think for a second. They're all gone.
The Bronx hasn't quite made it. Like now, I was born in Northeast Jersey, Joycey, Bergen County. So I just remember places like Brooklyn, Park Slope, Williamsburg. Those were the no-go places, and now they're the shishi, brownstones where everybody wants to live, and it's almost past shishi now. So are they moving into the Bronx, I wonder? I love all the food up there. I miss it.
Yeah, well, especially the pizza.
The pizza, right?
You can't buy any pizza like you buy in New York.
You still got that little accent. I love it. How long have you been down here?
I moved from New York, from the Bronx in '77.
Okay, so you've been out 41 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a
and
long
you
time.
still have... See, I can still talk like that if I have to, or law and daughter. But I lost it.
Oh,
all
no,
right.
my wife and my kids, they all make fun of me. I say fada.
Wait, say that one again? You say fada?
Fada, yeah, my fada. My fada.
My fada, do you say mutta?
Mutta. Who's your mother? No.
I love it. All right, we've got a question over there, Caitlin, that I can't see, so you'll have to let me know.
From Victor Palazzo.
Hey, Vic.
Good day, neighbor. We had a great coffee talk in Avalon Park. Hashtag be an educated voter.
Vic Palazzo is big in Avalon Park, but I went to college with him, so I've known Vic for, when did we graduate, Vic? Like 5-6 years ago? So I've known Vic for a long time, hugely involved in the community, so he obviously enjoyed his coffee with you.
Yes, he was very good. He shared his the concerns of the Avalon Park, which were not surprising with me because I didn't live in there for 12 years when I came up from Miami, but he's a icon of the community, so he knows what's going on. He's got his finger on the pulse.
I like it. You're an icon, Vic. We're going to use that as your hashtag from now on.
My wife gave you that name, so.
All right. So grew up in the Bronx, and then what happened? You didn't move here till '77. So what were you doing up there? What were your interests?
In the Bronx, I was an altar boy. I went to Catholic school. I was an altar boy for 4 years, serving God in my community there, and I became also a Cub Scout. I was a naval cadet in New York and became a Boy Scout. And then my mother, we escaped from the Bronx and went to Las Vegas, believe it or not.
You went to Vegas?
Vegas.
Now that's an interesting trajectory over to Vegas, because normally anybody from up north, Florida is really the first and only option.
Yeah, you kind of go south.
You
not
go
west.
south.
Head west.
Head west,
Yeah,
young man.
We went with the settlers.
So why out there? What was out there?
My mother wanted to take us out of the city because the crime. It was.
Sure.
My mother is she's divorced. When we were young, she worked in 2 jobs, basically growing up in the streets. So
Just you?
Me and my sister.
Oh, you have a sister too?
Yeah, me and my sister. And from there we went to Vegas and we stayed there for a year, and came back to New York only for another year to kind of get away from there. It was different because we didn't have any family out there. It was a little bit different.
It's hard when you make a move like that and you have no resources, no family resources or assistance.
Yeah, no support system.
Yeah.
You have to. What the support system is what you create yourself.
Correct.
And it's not already established. And they came to from New York. It was a short trip to New York, back to New York. Then in New York, we lived in Washington Heights, and then back to Miami.
Miami. All right. So Miami was your place. Why Miami? Did you have family down there?
Yeah, it's the Cubans migrated from Cuba to Miami. So growing up in New York, we were kind of away from our culture. But yes, we had family down in Miami. Went down there. Of course, I didn't really ask my mom the real reason, but I wanted to think because it was warmer. So.
Well, yeah, it's just too cold. Nothing against my northern family or friends, but it is just beautiful. It might not look so pretty out here, but when you walk out, you're not freezing.
Yeah.
You still have more sunshine down here than in anywhere else up north. No offense again. I
Yeah.
still love my friends, but I can't imagine they've had one of the worst winters on the planet.
Oh no, you can have that snow.
So in Cuba, in Miami.
Well,
here we
Miami's
go.
northern.
I've got
It's northern Cuba.
I've got Cuban food on my mind. That's
Yeah.
why I was thinking, oh
It's good
God,
stuff.
I want to talk about all the Cuban food. But
Good stuff.
so in Miami, what happened then? Did you?
Yeah, I graduated high school there, and I ended up in the Marines, United States Marines, and I did that for almost 4.5 years.
Thanks for serving. See, I didn't know that. See, when you send the bios over, I try to read them, but I want my guests to read them because that's so that helped train you for your next career move. And by the way, that really is amazing service. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's prepared me. The Marine Corps instills a lot of responsibilities in a young man, to give him that foundation. So yes, it's prepared me for a lot of things in life that I've come to. Then after that, I became a state trooper in 1983.
How is the transition out? We have a lot of veterans that come on the show, and one of the biggest things is always the transition from being in the military to civilian life. Was that difficult for you, or was that just easy because you jumped right into being a trooper?
No, it took me 2 years to become a trooper after I got out of the Marine Corps, but you are right, Ted. A lot of veterans do have those challenges, some more than others. I did have second thoughts by going back in. I was going to go back in. You come from a regimented, structured life, and of course, life in the civilian life it's different. And and they warned us about that as you're getting out, that everything's not going to be regimented. Not everybody does things for the reasons for what they do. So you go through that transition. So you have to find a pillar, a support, something that you can find to have conversations with people and how you can adapt to that. And the problem is once you acclimate, into that society, you don't want to go back. But it's
Right.
it is. There's a
There's a brotherhood, a sisterhood. There's structure. That's what I hear a lot about from veterans. Is that every day you're looking out for your brothers and sisters. You have a structure to the way things are. There's a chain of command. It's all very structured. And then when you come out here, nothing is like that. So did you find, is that one of the reasons why you were attracted to becoming a trooper?
Yeah, it's still paramilitary. I applied to become a trooper the minute I got out of the Marines. Actually, I applied with several police departments. The Florida High Patrol was the first ones to call me. And that's one of the reasons why I went with them.
And did it give you, so as you go in, did it give you the same sense, or at least similar sense of that camaraderie and support?
From the get-go.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, from the get-go.
And so what happens when you graduate? I've never served, obviously. I've never been part of a trooper. I can't even imagine me. I would fail the first exam to try to walk 5 feet. You all have to really go through a lot of training. did your military training help with the training that you had to go through as a trooper?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we had all different types of cultures of people coming in, and you had people who'd never been in the military, people who were in college, and they had challenges with military things. I had, believe it or not, I had challenges with the academic because I'd never been in an academic environment before. So that's how we all came together. So I helped them with the military. I used to go and make everybody's bed, when I was in the academy.
So what academic did you not have?
Well, it's a formal, the structure, the continuing studying of the laws, the Constitution, and all those things that you have to do that my skills were rusty.
Right.
I probably put it that way. So skill in academically wise, and so when I got there, you had the other recruits who could not, make in their bed.
Right.
We had to make our bed because you're sleeping in the academy. You don't go home until.
And there's a real method to the madness of a military bed and how you make it.
Yeah, with
and
the hospital.
Spit shines shoes,
Yep.
and all of that is true, and that's all part of learning how to the structure and the responsibility and making sure that you do things in a consistent way, which is what the military is all about. The consistency, I think, and you can talk about it more. Consistency not only in military but as a police officer, as a trooper, you have to all be on the same page,
True.
right?
Yes.
So because out in the world, if you're not on the same page with your fellow police officers, your fellow troopers, then it can mean life or death based on the particular event.
Yeah, it's a safety concern, but not only for the trooper, but even for the public.
Well, of course, yeah, and I think that's what happens is a lot of people think, okay, you go in, it's super easy to get through 6 weeks of boot camp or 6 weeks, however long the training is, and it's just so
6 months.
not.
6
I'm
months.
sweating thinking about it.
6 months.
Yeah, but there's a reason for it. They have to figure out how to, because you're doing something that so many people would never consider doing, and it's a job that it's kind of like the "you can't handle the truth" thing that Jack Nicholson says. The things that you all do, not only from as a Marine or from armed services, but also as a police officer, as law enforcement, people don't believe the things that you all have to see and do and deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, there's a joke amongst law enforcement officers. We're doctors, we're priests, we're psychologists, we're social workers, first responder, all that because of what we deal with on a continuous basis.
So when you graduated and then you became Trooper Lopez, is that what you were?
Yep, Trooper Joe Lopez.
Trooper Joe Lopez. And then what happened? I'm fascinated by this, and I'm gonna, what I get mostly is from Law and Order. I don't know, from Police Academy. I mean, there are things that we just don't know, and TV obviously tries to portray some of it, but we don't know. So you graduated, and then all of a sudden, are you in a car? Are you on a horse? Are you in K9? Are you? What are you doing?
They just got rid of the horses when I got there.
Oh, they just got rid of the horses. It's not the Wild Wild West. So what did you do next? Like you were assigned to a partner, or you assigned to a specific type of law enforcement?
Yeah, when you first come on, you go through an FTO program, so you have a field training officer. So he trains you for 10 weeks. So I went through that, and then you're assigned to patrol. You're given a car, you're given equipment. Back then, it was a 1983 Dodge Diplomat.
Wow, isn't a Diplomat a big car? No.
It looked like a box car. The seats don't recline. AM radio. Oh yeah.
So did you were you on patrol?
Yes, patrol. I patrolled the streets of Miami.
You patrolled the streets of Miami, and how is that different from the streets of Orlando?
Well, back then, I came on in the 80s, so you had the cocaine cowboys.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you had that, and you had the riots going on in the city of Miami. So that was a constant thing going on. I mean, it was, people say I had the best seats and the best show on earth. So.
I bet you did, right? I'm fascinated by the stories whenever I hear any of my law enforcement friends talk about the stories. I'm dumbfounded, I think, and even as much TV as I've watched, you really can't catch the nitty-gritty of it. I mean, maybe the closest thing was Cops that show, which my son-in-law happens to love.
And there's another one that a lot of people. Now I'm taking you back some time now. It's Real Stories of the Highway Patrol.
Oh yeah, I remember that show. I forgot all about that.
I was on it 7 times.
Oh, you were on it.
Yes.
What was that like? So were cameras following you, and you just did what you had to do, no matter what?
Yeah, it was awkward in the beginning because you get in the car and you got this guy sitting next to you with the big camera, stick almost, inches away from you, and you're supposed to act normal.
I love it.
So, and then they're asking you questions, and what you see on TV is you answering those questions. You don't hear the questions being asked. Then you got the reporter in the back seat, so nobody knows he's there, and the camera guy is there, so he goes everywhere with you. I don't know how those guys did it. They're carrying that thing on their shoulder, and every time I did a traffic stop, even when I was running, we were running after these guys. I was on a foot pursuit, and going behind houses and going over a fence, and he was keeping up with me. But you could hear me on the mic, yelling on the mic, getting on the radio, but you couldn't see me, and I had to jump. The fence. I don't think it was shorter than 10 feet. Yeah.
But here's the thing, like the guy in the back, and then I want to move on to you moving to Orlando, or wherever you moved after Miami. The guy with the big camera, I always have this vision of him breathing super hard in the camera, because he's not trained to run like you're running, or he's probably scared out of his mind with some of this stuff, right?
Yeah. They by the time they got to me, they've already been with the other troopers before, so but they're probably used to it. And you get to know these guys, and you make them feel comfortable, and you tell them what to do. There's you got rules of engagement. Hey, listen, this happens, stay here. I don't want you to get hurt. But they're diving in head first. Yeah.
All right. So what brought you here to Orlando?
I got promoted to lieutenant. I took a promotion, came up here to Orlando.
So you're a lieutenant.
When I came up here.
When you came up here.
Yes.
Okay, and so what does that mean? Does that mean you get to sit behind the desk all day long and do nothing like the lieutenants in my favorite show I keep referring to, Law and Order SVU?
Yeah, it's probably one of the things I didn't like about when you get promoted up the ranks. Yeah, lieutenant. When I got promoted lieutenant, I came up here and I was a shift commander, so I was stuck in the radio room, with all the dispatchers and everything. So there was a joke, and people used to make, says, "How are we going to tie him down to the chair? Because he's going to want to go out there." I'm coming from the streets of Miami,
right? Being
out there, and then I'm being tied down. I didn't get promoted until I had like 18 years on.
Wow. I mean, I would imagine that if you're in the action all the time, it would be very hard to go to a desk job. It would be the opposite for me. I like the desk job, so I would imagine it would be very hard for me to go out in the field.
No, yeah, it is hard. So, of course, as you go up in rank, you got some discretion where you can balance that. Go out on the street, go behind the desk. Of course, my mom and my wife and everybody all want me behind the desk. But.
Of course. Yeah, how is that? So let's talk about family, because you have a family. You put it in your bio.
Yes.
You have a family.
Yes.
Okay, good. He has a family. And so how is that? Is it as difficult as I would imagine it is on your family when you go out, when you were going out each night, or going out even on any shift? It doesn't have to be night anymore.
Yeah, my wife, been married to her for, it's going to be 28 years. And she's watching.
Congratulations.
Say hello to her.
Say hi to her, of course,
Highly
on
said,
whatever.
I love you.
Love it.
And she handled it pretty well. The thing is that she met me in this job already.
So she knew. Did she? So a lot of times, so she knew what she was getting into. But once you're married, does then it become like, wow, I knew, but I didn't really know?
Kind of, sort of. I was pretty good. I guess you can call it sheltering. I didn't tell her everything.
Right.
You want to keep certain information away, because if not, they get worried to death. Just like my mom.
Sure.
They had to go through that when I went to the Marines, and they sent me to Nicaragua. So I know what it is, what kind of toll it takes on a family, because they're worrying about their loved ones. So I try to shelter them, so they wouldn't know. For us, you get into this because it's a sense of duty. It's a purpose, sure. And so it's not just not like a job. It's a calling that you have to do.
Correct.
So for us, it's no big deal.
Well, it's in your blood. I feel like from what I can see, you have this passion, and I think you have to have that passion in order to be impactful and successful at what you do, because the minute that passion or you start questioning yourself, obviously it can be super impactful on the job when you're working in that.
Yeah, look, you got to pay the bills. I didn't get into this job to get rich or anything. Of course, you pay for it. But there's some days that you're saying that I can't believe I'm getting paid for this. It's
Oh,
so,
that's good to hear.
Yeah.
I always worry. I always think when I think of all of my law enforcement friends, I'm like, God, we just don't pay them enough. We really don't. That's my opinion, not Joe's.
Well, it's true because you do have commitments and you do have a family you got to raise, and you want to make sure that your family gets the best out of life. They go to the good schools, they live in the good neighborhoods, so they don't have to worry about all the things that we're dealing with. So that does come into play.
All right, so now we've gotten the history. Now I've got to ask you the big why. So you are running for office, which, as we all know, can be probably one of the biggest Herculean tasks on the planet, and it can be, talk about taking a toll on personal life, family life, business, job. What was your why? Why now? Why get involved? What's your thought process on the what made you or motivated your epiphany, I guess, to get involved?
I served my country, and I was very grateful for that. I served the state of Florida. Now I'm at the community, county level, and I want to continue to serve in my community. Most people wonder in life what purpose they served. I don't have that problem. I have I have a passion for serving my community. It's a sense of duty to continue to serve. My mission's not over. Part of that, what I want to do is because when I first got here, I was a victim of a crime. We were. They broke into my car, and I haven't been a victim of a crime even in Miami. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this is a safe place for everybody who they can raise their families, where the kids can go to school and return safely, where our wives can go shopping and they come back and they return safely. So I want to make sure we reduce the crime in Orange County. I want to build the community, bridge that gap between law enforcement and the community. I think there's some kind of disconnect there. Not because it's a fault of any local agencies here, but that's the sentiment nationwide. But we can do better. Here locally, we can do a lot better and bring down those barriers so that we can have those relationships with law enforcement. The other thing is we need more law enforcement. We need more deputies on the street.
I agree.
The population is growing and fastly, quickly, and immensely. We haven't kept up with that growth here. Some areas are not, the calls are holding. We need to, they're growing, they're moving to Florida. It's a place to move to. People are bringing their families here, and we need to increase the sheriff's office at a faster pace. And we have to, the day one when I get in here, I'm going to review the hiring practices from top to bottom to make sure we fill these positions, that we get the brightest and the best on the department.
So how do the officers get funded? Meaning, I believe 100% just being involved in the little bit that I feel like I am, that I know that we need more officers. So does that come from a county budget? Do the feds put money in? How is it that we know that is such an important issue, and yet it feels like from a community standpoint that you all who are in charge are always having to fight to get more officers?
The public safety is the largest expense in any government, okay, whether state and local government. It's a big price tag. It's fully funded from the county. However, there are some programs that are grant funded, community-oriented policing, where we had that in the Florida Highway Patrol. We hired 50 troopers for community policing, and the federal government subsidized some of that, those salary dollars. But that was only like for a 3-year program. So yes, it's mainly fully funded from the county, and then the county through their tax base is how they fund the positions. But there's programs that you can get from the federal government. So now you have the school resources officers, so there's dollars for that to put both school resource officers in the schools. So that's one approach. We have to think outside of the box. We have to be smarter about how we do this, but we have to find ways. It has to be done because the people want action. I'm listening. I'm going out to the community, and that's what they're telling me. We need more deputies on the street. We need to pay them more. The Orange County Sheriff's Office is losing deputies to other police departments because of the pay. So we spend $100,000 to train, equip, and pay a deputy, only to do what? 2 or 3 years later, he gets recruited from a local police department because they pay them better. That's wasted money. That's not good business.
So, I mean, I love to hear it. It makes me sad, but I love to hear that because I think a lot of people don't realize that we're losing great officers because our county is not paying them better. And what's the rationale behind not paying them better? Is it because there just isn't funding? And you guys all know this, and I'll just say it for the record. I ask these questions I don't know the answers to. There's no rhetorical question here. Like I honestly don't know, and I think a lot of people don't know. They don't understand why would we ever lose someone. We're Orange County. We have Disney. We're rich. We have all the tourism here, and yet we are losing officers to other places. Why?
It's probably a combination of several things. At one point, it was funding. You know what? When the economy took a hit in 2008 and 2009, sure, that was the start of it, and I think maybe we haven't gone back to that. But I really think a lot of it has to do with politics. I think the leaders need to advocate for the public safety officers and knowing that we don't need a pay raise only when somebody's up for election. They need to make sure that these guys are getting the benefits and the pay all the time. And now you create a compression problem. What's that compression problem? Well, you go so many years without a pay raise. Now the guy who's just coming on, he's making the same amount of money as the person who's been here for 6 years. Well, you got a compression problem, and that's going to cost millions of dollars to fix. So how do we get there to begin with? So there has to be a maintenance program, and that's what it used to be done in the days. Nobody's coming on here to get rich. That's not what we're talking. We say, we try to take care of the families. It's a job. It's a demanding job. These guys are working sometimes, double duty so they can make overtime to raise their families. They shouldn't have to be doing that.
I agree 100%. I mean, it's frustrating for me when I do, because I get to meet a lot of really cool law enforcement people, and normally the number one thing is I'm not trying to be rich. I love what I do. I have a passion, like you said earlier, but it would be nice not to be on the low end of the spectrum of law enforcement and have to struggle or take on extra jobs or work the double shifts. And to me, as public servants in general, just don't get the respect, nor do they get the funding that they need. And I just think it's it's critical in my opinion. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't say, hey, nothing's going on, out of sight, out of mind, like insurance. No hurricanes, right? You go 10, 20 years without a hurricane, people start canceling the insurance. The minute they see a hurricane on the horizon, they're running to the insurance company.
They're running.
It's the same thing when it comes to law enforcement. Well, you got to keep it, and you got to keep it intact and making sure that they're taken care of.
I agree. All right, so we're going to share all of Joe's elect Joe Lopez Facebook, anything that he's got. We're going to share it after the show. Actually, on all 3 shows, I will make sure we share it. Any parting words of wisdom from anything you want to share with them, and you've got more time than just a little bit, but if you want to share something with them, something that's coming up, a fundraiser you have coming up, or some kind of words of wisdom for them, because I think people really, I feel like this election year, this year especially, people really do want to be educated, and they do want to make some choices that make sense for them. And so if we can reach them and connect with them, what would you say? What do you want to share with them?
First of all, I want to give you my Facebook page. If you go to Facebook, it's Joe Lopez for Sheriff, and I have another one, Joe Lopez, and I have a webpage, joelopezforsheriff.com. It's very important, like Ted said, you got to come out and vote. That's the only way things are going to change. Come out and vote in November. There's a primary. I'm not in a primary in August. I will be in the election in November 6th of this year. You got to come out and vote. I guarantee you, nobody else will work harder than me. When you vote for me, you're going to get integrity, loyalty, and effective leadership. You can take that to the bank.
I love it. All right, so 2 things. We'll share all of Joe's information. This week, we are blessed to be sponsored by Gratis Software. Ray Ortega, he's amazing. What a great guy. He was on the show yesterday. I want to give him a shout out. But I want to encourage you to reach out to Joe. Reach out to Joe Lopez. All of these questions that are coming up and down on Facebook, we're friends on Facebook. So he'll be able to go to the video and respond. So if I haven't hit your question, if I haven't answered it, if he hasn't answered it, if you have questions after we've shut down the show, ask them, because he wants to engage. I think that's the great part, the engagement that we're feeling in our world of I hate the word politics, but in our world of running for office. I think right now people are really expecting it because there are 5,000 new ways to engage with people.
Yeah.
So utilize them, guys. Utilize them. So we love you guys so much. I'll see you about 2:30. We're going to do a show called This Is America, which will kind of cap off what Joe started with Miranda Katie and Tony Tate. And again, thank you guys. We love you. We really do. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.